For those of you who don't know me, I'm David Callender, and I serve as the president here at UTMB. It's great to have everybody here. It's always wonderful to celebrate, particularly what we're celebrating today. I think many of you know that UTMB has been around now for almost 125 years. And our principal focus has been on educating a healthcare workforce for Texas and really for the world. Our graduates have gone on to become leaders in their chosen professions, certainly those who came from the School of Medicine and have provided great care to a number of patients around the world. We have a well-earned reputation for educational excellence and a time-honored legacy of service. And I think because of that, we attract students like those who are here today who are very committed. They believe in compassionate community service, and they all have tremendous strength of character. And that's why they move on to great success after they leave UTMB. Certainly, we're committed to fostering an academic environment that instills important values: integrity, compassion, and respect. As we look towards the future in a very dynamic time, which also is filled with exciting opportunities, thinking about how we can transform our healthcare delivery system, how we can make it better, how we can make it more equitable, how we can make it more accessible. We clearly have a number of new opportunities that are available to us if we all can work together more effectively, innovate, bring new technologies to bear on these age-old problems. And I believe that our students will be leaders in helping us do this. We've been successful doing these things here. We certainly believe that there's been a transformation on our campus. Actually, there's been transformation here since the day that UTMB opened its doors in 1891. UTMB has always had an eye on the future, thinking about what comes next, preparing our students for that time in the future, as well as our institution, so we could create an ongoing legacy of service, commitment to great education, and making health better for people around the world. No matter what path our students pursue, whether it be in primary care, specialty care, very focused specialty care, we know they leave here with a sense of what it means to volunteer, to be engaged in the communities that we serve and that they will serve in the future. What the needs are that will help us, if in meeting those needs, address healthcare concerns in local communities around our state, around the nation, and in some cases around the world. Our students, no matter whether they focus on care, research, or become educators themselves, will make us proud. We're very proud of them. We're proud to have them here today. We're extraordinarily grateful for the tremendous support that's provided in the form of scholarships to help further the education of our students and the educational work here at UTMB. So again, it's appropriate that we celebrate the spirit of accomplishment, the focus on the future, and the spirit of support that helps us reach important goals that lie ahead. So thank you all for being here today to help us celebrate. Please enjoy your lunch, and we'll continue the program after lunch. Thank you very much. I want to introduce Dr. Danny Jacobs, who is our provost, dean of the School of Medicine, holder of the Thomas N. and Gleaves T. James Distinguished Chair. He's been with us for just a little over a year now. He is an accomplished physician, scientist, and teacher, and came to us from Duke University Medical Center, where he was the David C. Sabiston Jr. Professor and Chair of Surgery. He earned his undergraduate and MPH degrees from Harvard, where he was a scholarship student. He received his MD from WashU in St. Louis, completing a surgical residency and serving as a chief resident at the Hospital University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, also on scholarship. So we're most fortunate to have a leader of his caliber here to lead our academic programs at UTMB, and I'm so pleased that he's going to guide the rest of the program today. Dr. Jacobs?
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Callender, for that kind introduction and for commenting at least on how important scholarships were for me during my career. You know, as Dr. Callender said, today is an event where we celebrate many things, and it's also, importantly, an opportunity for us to give thanks, and thanks to our benefactors for example, the over 600 scholarships that have been awarded for the fiscal year of 2012-2013. You know, if you think about scholarships, in my view, it's much more than about financial aid or financial assistance. It really is about providing support. It's about thoughtfulness, it's about generosity, and it's a commitment to making things possible that might not otherwise have been possible. And so, like for me, I think without this support, some of our students wouldn't be where they are today. I had the pleasure of reading some of the letters that the students had written about their scholarships, and it was really rewarding for me to read them. I thought I would share some of the quotes with you this afternoon. One student wrote, "I will make sure that this scholarship will be used to its fullest extent, as it allows me to achieve my goals and help me reach my fullest potential." Another student wrote, "I earned my Bachelor of Science degree in molecular and cell biology from Texas A&M University while working full-time to support my wife and 2 young children. This scholarship has lessened the financial burden on my family so I can focus on becoming a great physician. When I graduate from medical school, I plan to devote my career as a physician to improving the lives of Texans. I hope to one day prove worthy of this scholarship, and I happily accept it." Another student wrote, "I am currently a second-year medical student, and the scholarship that you provided is such a blessing for both me, my wife, and daughter. I look forward to being able to give back to students in the future, and people like yourself inspire me to be better. Thanks again. The money is such a needed blessing, and we appreciate it more than words can express." So I think those are very powerful statements about the impact that scholarships can have. I wanted to just pause and say to our benefactors, thank you for your gifts and for supporting our students. May I please ask for the first round of applause. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Scott Schechter. Scott has graciously agreed to come up and give some of his perspectives about the scholarships. Scott is a 4th-year medical student in our School of Medicine, of course. He's also the recipient of the Helen and Charles D. Frazier Jr. MD Endowed Presidential Scholarship. This scholarship was established in 1987 and provides support for outstanding students in the School of Medicine. Scott?
Thank you, Dr. Jacobs, for that introduction, and thank you all for having me here today to speak a little bit about why I chose UTMB and what scholarships have meant to me in my time here. So when it initially came time for me to apply to medical school, I researched schools all over the country because I wasn't entirely sure where I wanted to end up. In the end, I decided to stay in Texas for a few reasons. For one, I had lived here all my life, and my family was here, which allowed me to stay close to home. Close ended up being somewhat of a relative term because my family lives in El Paso, but I knew staying within the state would give me the opportunity to spend at least a little bit of time working in the community where I grew up. Additionally, the tuition rates for medical schools within the state are significantly lower than anywhere else in the country. Looking at some other schools and estimating that they would leave me with about $200,000 worth of debt was stressful at that time because that was, and essentially still is, an unimaginable sum of money. Doing the math made my decision to stay at Texas a no-brainer. So when it came time to apply, I sent my application to every school in Texas with no real inclinations as to where I wanted to end up. Luckily, the admissions committee here was nice enough to offer me an interview despite the fact that I submitted my application the last possible week, and I had my first medical school interview in October of 2009. I knew UTMB had a reputation for having a more laid-back and friendly student body, but I was still surprised when I came here. Despite the fact that on my interview day it was cold and pouring rain, everyone I saw around campus seemed to be in really high spirits, and all the students that I ran into on my day here went out of their way to help me. At one point on my interview day, I got lost right outside of here in Levin Hall trying to find my interview in Shriners, and this was right as the second-year students were about to go into their GI final, and I was oblivious to this fact, and so I was asking some of them to help me find my way to my interview. And despite the fact that they had a lot more important things to get prepared for at the time, a couple of them were happy to take me outside, show me the way, and ask me if I had any other questions. However, the most memorable thing that happened to me on my interview day here was on the tour that morning. Remember, prior to this interview, my mom had spent all week telling me, that everyone was going to be watching me while I was here all day. I had to be on my best behavior. So taking her advice, I was trying to just kind of have this constant aura of professionalism about me that day. And at one point, we were walking through John Seeley Hospital on the tour, and I noticed my roommate from college was walking back from PBL with a group of friends of his. And I went to go shake his hand, but he promptly bear hugged me and picked me up. And I was really embarrassed at the time because, for those of you who aren't aware, you get a huge packet of information when you interview here, and I dropped that whole thing. It's scattered all over the lobby. But I was really surprised because all the people around me didn't really seem to think it was that out of the ordinary. It just seemed to fit in here. And it really struck out to me over the next few months as I went on the rest of my interviews, because on a lot of these tours I ran into numerous other close personal friends, but these times we always just kind of had a congenial head nod and then went our separate ways. Additionally, during those interview days, people always like to talk about how close-knit their medical school classes were, but I never really noticed that same sense of family that I found here at UTMB. And after being here for over 3 years, I'm glad to say that that wasn't a fluke, and that the students here have continually gone above and beyond to help each other out and create what I think is a really unique medical school environment here compared to all the other medical schools I've seen. And I think that most students would agree that the generous outreach that's been a ubiquitous presence here at UTMB isn't solely limited to the interactions between students. A large portion of that is due to the coordination between the administration and donors in helping to provide students with financial aid. As I mentioned before, the cost of medical school and the time required to pay that back is something that can be a troublesome issue for most students when starting medical school. It's difficult to truly express the level of gratitude we feel when we receive a scholarship, as it not only validates our hard work and personal sacrifices we make in becoming better physicians, but also allows us to fully pursue our medical passions without worrying about the potential cost to ourselves in the future. For some students, scholarship money may give them the opportunity to travel abroad and pursue an interest in global health, while for others it may mean having the funds to be able to interview at your dream residency, wherever that may be. And in my opinion, one of the most understated aspects of scholarship donations is the fact that it extends the generosity that I think is so common here amongst classmates throughout time, from previous generations of UTMB students to the current students here. In my particular case, I received a scholarship on behalf of Dr. Frazier and his wife during my third year. I was fortunate enough to get to meet him at a UTMB function last year, and interestingly enough, as it turns out, Dr. Frazier works at Texas Children's Hospital as a pediatric cardiothoracic surgeon, and at the same time, my cousin Mark Schechter, who graduated from UTMB in 2000, was working there on the pediatric lung transplant team. And to me, this really helps illustrate the interesting narratives that scholarships can help create and extend the sense of family between different generations of UTMB students. And I know that this situation is probably far from unique, and if you were to talk to the other students here today, they each have their own very personal stories about how much their scholarships have meant to them. So on behalf of myself and the other students here today, I'd like to say thank you for supporting us in all our endeavors. I don't think it can be stated enough how much you've done to help create the community that we all love so much here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott, for those words, and congratulations again. It's always exciting to hear about students, and Scott is just one example of the very fine students we have at UTMB, in no small part due to your efforts as our benefactors. I now have the privilege of recognizing those benefactors who are here with us this afternoon. I think it's fair to say that these men and women are some of the most committed supporters of UTMB's academic and educational enterprise. As I read about the scholarship that you have created, I would ask that you stand and be recognized and then come up to join me and Dr. Callender for a photograph. So thank you very much. We will now proceed. So in 1980, in a dilapidated building on the Kemah waterfront, this building caught Franz Gillibard's attention. He saw its potential and wondered why others had not. Although he had no experience as a restaurateur, he decided to take a chance. He turned his vision into the Flying Dutchman, followed by the Brass Parrot, and then the Kemah Cantina. These successful restaurants became popular landmarks and tourist spots. With that success, Franz and his wife Diane generously added a $6 million bequest to a scholarship they had already created, the Franz and Diane Gillibard Scholarship. Franz wrote, and I quote, "We have no children, but at UTMB we had found a place to park our blessings. We wanted what we have to go where it will do some good. This year the scholarship was awarded to men when men graduated from the University of Texas at Arlington, where he was on the dean's list multiple times. And so Diane is here with us today. We thank you and your late husband for the contribution you made to us. Thank you. Please come up and take a picture. Dr. Edgar Cortez, who I just met, embodies all that UTMB could ask for in an alumnus. He achieved an outstanding grade point average after completing his core curriculum at the University of Houston in only 2 years. UTMB admitted him and gave him a 4-year scholarship to complete his medical training and cover his tuition and fees. Dr. Cortez, who graduated in 1969, is now a pediatrician in Corpus Christi and the medical director of Driscoll Children's Hospital there. His son, Dr. Edgar Richard Cortez, graduated from UTMB in 1994. Over the years, Dr. Cortez and his wife, Imelda, have shown tireless devotion to UTMB. They established the Cortez Scholarship in Medicine in 2008 in honor of his parents. Dr. Cortez wrote, "UTMB opened a door for me, and I wanted to help open the door for other deserving students." Samuel Mathis is this year's recipient of the Cortez Scholarship. Samuel graduated from Baylor and is now getting ready to do family medicine, I hear. So congratulations to you. Dr. Cortez is here with his mother, Yolanda. Thank you, Dr. Cortez, and to your mother for all you've done for us. So anatomy was Jimmy Doyle's Dickens's passion. He had already earned a graduate degree in anatomy and was in his 3rd year at medical school at UTMB when he died in a plane crash in 1970. He was considered a gifted scholar by faculty and fellow students who were confident that he had a very promising career ahead of him as an anatomist. Jimmy's widow, along with faculty members and students, established the Dickens Award in 1996 to honor his memory. This award funds an annual book gift to an outstanding medical student. Scott Walton is this year's recipient of the Dickens Memorial Award. He's a Brigham Young graduate and also is a 2nd lieutenant in the U.S. Army Reserves. He will be activated as an officer when he graduates. So congratulations to Scott. We're honored to have Jimmy's widow, Mrs. Mariana Dickens of Austin, and her daughter, Ms. Rose Dickens Vandenberg, and her family with us today. Ms. Dickens is thought to keep her late husband's memory alive through their continued generosity to UTMB. So for all that you do, thank you very much. And you're all back. In 1975, Dr. Carlos Godinez was astounded by his alma mater's minority enrollment figures and felt that we could do better. Not one to sit on his hands, Dr. Godinez voiced his concern to then UTMB President Dr. William Levin, who approved the formation of the Alumni Advisory Committee on Minority Affairs. Today, that committee is still active and is known as the Diversity and Medical Education Committee. Dr. Godinez served as the committee's inaugural chairman and made sure that some of UTMB's most prominent graduates were engaged in the process. These graduates included Tristan Castaneda, Robert Hilliard, and William Hadnot. The product of this group's hard work and dedication is now reflected in a very telling accomplishment, which I'd like to summarize here. UTMB is now one of our country's most diverse academic health centers. For example, this year we had 221 graduates earn their medical degrees. 61 of these were awarded to minorities. And if you look at our classes this year, 315 of the 913 students are minority students. The Diversity and Medical Education Committee Scholarship is a new one, and we look forward to awarding it soon. Joining us today is Dr. Kevin McKinney, a Diversity and Medical Education Committee member. We'd like to thank you for your investment. Looking forward to talking about it in the future. Thank you very much. As Dr. Callender mentioned earlier, there are many UTMB trained physicians who've brought honor to themselves and to the university based on their achievements. Dr. Charles Frazier is one such alumnus. He is Surgeon-in-Chief and Chief of Congenital Heart Surgery at the Texas Children's Hospital. He's also Professor of Surgery and Pediatrics at Baylor. He and his wife, Helen, have given back to UTMB in many ways, including through their counsel as members of UTMB's Development Board and as generous benefactors who created the Helen and Charles D. Frazier Jr. Presidential Scholarship. Dr. Frazier, who graduated in 1984, explains his reasoning for giving back by saying, quote, UTMB has been a blessing for me and for many. We're proud to join other alumni in recognizing outstanding students and contributing to their success. Many more students will be able to join Dr. Frazier as a UTMB alumni or alumnus because of their scholarship. As you heard from Scott earlier, he's the recipient of the Frazier Scholarship. I'm pleased to say that Dr. Frazier will talk to us a little bit later to give us his perspective on what it means to give back through scholarship support. But please join me in thanking the Fraziers for all they do and what they have done for the institution. So, the legendary UTMB professor, Dr. Raymond Blount, was known for his anatomy lectures, for his sayings, and for his very elaborate diagrams that he created during his lectures. One group of UTMB graduates wanted to do something to honor him. In 1999, following a homecoming dinner, Dr. Louis Fram and other 1964 medical graduates contributed $45,000 to help establish the Class of '64 Presidential Scholarship in memory of Dr. Raymond Blount. Through this scholarship, UTMB students are helped with their medical studies. They also get a chance to learn about this person who left such a mark on UTMB. We have 3 scholarships that will be awarded today. The first is to Audrey Ochoa, a UT Pan American Summa Cum Laude graduate, Chinyere Ugoza, a UT Austin graduate, and Sean Modi, who graduated with honors also from UT Austin. We've had a nice conversation here. So congratulations to you 3 for your scholarships. Dr. Fram and his wife Marilyn are here from Houston. We also extend our sincere thanks to you. It's a wonderful contribution. So, Dr. Rachel Hampton Griffith of Dallas knew from the time she was a young girl what she wanted out of life. Her father died when she was 4 years old from complications of rheumatic fever, which she also contracted a year later. The doctor who treated her made such an impression that she decided that one day she would also become a physician. Years later, holding true to her childhood ambitions, Dr. Griffiths earned her medical degree from UTMB. She was drawn to UTMB because of our sense of family. She graduated in 1977 and chose neonatology as a specialty. She then established her scholarship in 2011 to benefit students who graduated from her alma mater, Dallas Baptist University. In addition to her scholarship, Dr. Griffith has also supported UTMB through her participation as a member of the Dallas Regional Leadership Council for the Working Wonders campaign. Jonathan Stubblefield is this year's recipient of the Griffith Scholarship. He graduated 4.0 from Dallas Baptist University. Congratulations. Dr. Griffith, thank you very much for establishing your scholarship. Dr. Glenda Hickman spent much of her life serving others. She was a successful engineer who realized and thought she could do more. She then became a Dallas paramedic, but soon recognized she wanted to be a physician. So after graduating from UTMB with honors in 1997, she devoted her medical career to palliative medicine. She worked as medical director for several hospice agencies and was also director of clinical medicine at the Institute for Palliative Care at Methodist Hospital. While she worked there, patients and family members would often find 2 polished stones bearing Bible inscriptions or encouraging words. And by our count, she has distributed more than 3,000 of these stones. She continues to inspire others through the Glenda Gilbert Hickman Presidential Scholarship. Tin Ong is this year's recipient. He's not able to attend because he's off doing his residency training at Mayo. But we wanted to congratulate him. Dr. Hickman's widower, Mr. Kelvin Hickman of Houston, is here with us today. I'd like to thank you for your contribution for coming to lunch with us. William Todd Midget played the trumpet, loved the Beatles, traveled abroad, and did all he could do to feed his intellectual curiosity. In medical school, he was known to have a way with patients. These patients were drawn to him. Those who knew him were sure that he'd be a great physician. Unfortunately, just months before he was set to graduate, Todd was killed in a car accident. At the time, he'd planned to pursue a career as a radiologist. Those who share this passion for medicine are awarded the William Todd Midget MD Award for Superior Clinical Practice. It's given every year to a beginning fourth-year student. His parents, who received their son's medical degree in his stead, established the award along with their son's friends and classmates. William Towson is this year's recipient. His ties to UTMB began with his grandmother, who graduated from the School of Nursing in 1949. His grandfather was a 1950 graduate of the School of Medicine. William's father was an intern in our Department of Internal Medicine, and his mother was a nurse in our Departments of Psychiatry and Pediatrics. So that's a great story. Congratulations, William. Mr. and Mrs. Midget of Denton and their daughter, Mrs. Diane Ferguson of San Antonio, are here today. Thank you all for coming. Dr. Bernie Rothschild, a UTMB alumnus, passed away last year, but his legacy lives on through his foundation and the Dr. Bernie Rothschild Award for Compassion in Medicine. The scholarship created by his foundation is awarded to a student who best exemplifies Dr. Rothschild's commitment to patient-centered care. Dr. Rothschild established an OBGYN practice in Corpus Christi with his partners Dr. Stan Shoemaker, a fellow 1973 UTMB alumnus, and Dr. Jim Bernard Jr. Another longtime friend, Dr. Dale Eubank, joined the practice soon after. This quartet formed the core of the Coastal Bend Women's Center in 1987, and it continues to thrive today, providing exemplary care. We're joined today by Dr. Shoemaker, who is a board member, and with him are Dr. Rothschild's son, Joseph and Nicholas. Kelly Gross is this year's recipient of the Rothschild Award. This is a UT Austin graduate. She plans to pursue a career in neurology. So on behalf of Kelly and our whole family, we'd like to express our deep condolences for the loss of such an extraordinary man, but thank you for all the foundation continues to do for us at UTMB. Doctors Norma and Sanford Rubin had served UTMB as faculty members for almost 30 years when they created the Norma H. and Sanford A. Rubin Presidential Scholarship in 2005. Their scholarship helps to ensure that UTMB remains competitive by enrolling the brightest minds. The scholarship specifically targets students who are in the top 10% of their class and who also demonstrate financial need. The scholarship was a generous capstone to the Rubin's career at UTMB. Dr. Sanford Rubin graduated in 1966, was a member of our Department of Radiology for over 25 years. He is also an Ashbel Smith Distinguished Alumni Award recipient. Dr. Norma Rubin was professor in the Department of Neurosciences and Cell Biology for almost 30 years. Had the pleasure of saying hello to her yesterday and trying to convince her to come back. Martha Bays is this year's recipient of the Rubin Scholarship. He holds a degree in biology from the University of Houston at Clear Lake. He was an electrical engineer and got that degree from Arizona State University. He was a contractor for NASA's International Space Program for 12 years, and then we got him to join here, so congratulations, Matthew. The Rubins, as you can see, are also here with us. I'd like to say thank you for all of your service and contributions to UTMB and for your generous gift. (1952). That was the year when car seat belts were introduced. That's when the polio vaccine was discovered and when Queen Elizabeth was coronated. That was also the year that UTMB conferred degrees on 89 graduates. In 2002, to mark their half-century of work, members of that graduating class established the Class of 1952 Golden Anniversary Endowed Scholarship. It was their way to help ensure that medical careers were possible for needy students. Lindy Ross is this year's scholarship recipient. She graduated summa cum laude from the University of Houston. Congratulations, Lindy. We're honored today to have class member Dr. Herman Schultz and his wife Roselle, I believe, who are with us today. We're grateful to you as well as to your classmates from the class of 1952, and thank you for your contributions to your alma mater. Mentor, teacher, and philanthropist. These are words that can all be ascribed to Dr. Landon Stout Jr., who was a stalwart of our Department of Pathology for 41 years. He came to UTMB in 1972 from the University of Oklahoma. Not only did he devote his entire career to UTMB, but he also devoted himself to developing endowments in his department. In addition, therefore, to the Stout Award for Excellence in Pathology, Dr. Stout also created 4 endowed professorships and a fund to support our residents. So if you look at that, that's 6 endowments for UTMB. That bears repeating, 6 endowments. That's wonderful. We are all richer for knowing and working alongside Dr. Stout or seeing his contributions and their impact. He honors us not only by his service, but also by his generosity. Crystal Goker is this year's recipient of the Stout Award. She's not able to attend because she's a pathology resident at the University of Texas Medical Center in Dallas. We'd like to congratulate her. Dr. Stout is here along with his wife, Elaine, so please join me in thanking them for their remarkable contributions. Dr. Gregory Stovall and his wife Tricia know a thing or two about juggling the demands of medical school while raising a young family. While reflecting on those challenging yet rewarding years at UTMB, the Stovalls were motivated to create the Walt and Let Henriksen Scholarship in February. I hope I got that right. Their scholarship benefits married students with children. Students who are expecting or whose spouses are expecting a child are also eligible for the scholarship. Dr. Stovall graduated in 1978 and completed his residency in internal medicine with us. He and his wife have 3 children, one of whom, Jeremy, is currently an occupational therapy student, graduate student with us. So history, I guess, repeats itself. We understand he's married with a young child. So the new scholarship has not yet been awarded, but the Stovalls are with us from Tyler. On behalf of the campus and UTMB, thank you very much for establishing this. We look forward to seeing you next year. Okay. The Swinney's newborn son lived only 3 days despite the best efforts of staff members at a Florida hospital. Their efforts inspired Jim and other family members to establish the John Robert Swinney Endowed Scholarship Fund in the School of Medicine. Through this scholarship, Mr. Swinney said it was his wish and that of his family that the students who received this scholarship go on to practice the same brand of compassionate care he saw his son receive. Mr. Swinney is a former UTMB Assistant Vice President of Administration. He also served as the university's Vice President of Advancement. His wife, Antoinette, and another son, Mark, joined him in establishing the scholarship in 1998. Brian Ager is this year's recipient. He received his biochemistry degree from the Western Washington University in Bellingham, Washington. He plans to be a radiation oncologist. Congratulations to Brian. Mr. and Mrs. Swinney are here with us today. Thank you again for your dedication, for your contribution to make this effort and support of Brian possible. So, for former employees or faculty members who want to continue the friendships they've established at UTMB, we have an opportunity. We call it the UTMB Retirees Association. The association is not only a source of fellowship, but it's also a great source of resources for our students. The association established the University of Texas Medical Branch Retirees Association Academic Scholarship Fund in 1997. The scholarship supports academically qualified students who are enrolled at any of UTMB's 4 schools. Those who join the association are encouraged to make a contribution to the fund in honor of a family member or friend or other. Since its creation, the Scholarship Fund has awarded more than $20,000 to deserving UTMB students. Rennie Varghese is this year's recipient. He's got his biology degree from the Prairie View A&M. Joining us today is the association's former president, Michael D. Ellis. Mr. Ellis retired in 2003 after serving UTMB for almost 40 years. He is the former director of the Southeast Texas Poison Center. Thank you, Mr. Ellis, and thank you to your fellow association members for making this scholarship possible. Dr. James R. Wynn and his wife Vicki of South Lake are two of UTMB's most trusted benefactors. Dr. Wynn, who graduated from UTMB in 1967, and Mrs. Wynn have served UTMB as members of the Fort Worth Regional Leadership Council for our Working Wonders campaign. Dr. Wynn is also a development board member and serves on our alumni board of trustees. As benefactors, they helped create the Tarrant County Scholarship, which was awarded this year to Zach Morgan. Zach graduated from the Abilene Christian University with honors. Last year, they established the Dr. James R. and Vicki L. Wynn Medical Scholarship. Benjamin Villarreal is this year's recipient of the Wynn Scholarship. He received a full scholarship also to attend Kent State University, where he received a bachelor's degree in biology and also a master's degree, Master's of Public Health degree, concentrated in epidemiology. So congratulations to Benjamin. On behalf of Zach, Benjamin, and the entire UTMB community and campus, we thank you, and we are certainly a better university because of you and your efforts. Please come forward. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Charles Frazier. As I mentioned earlier, Dr. Frazier is a 1984 graduate. He's currently Surgeon-in-Chief and Chief of Congenital Heart Surgery at Texas Children's. He's widely recognized as a preeminent, if not the preeminent, pediatric cardiovascular surgeon in the United States, and he helped to develop the Texas Children's program into one of the world's best. In 2002, for example, his team started the first pediatric lung transplant program in the Southwest. It's now the nation's largest. He implanted the world's first DeBakey child cardiac assist device in 2004. He's a Midland native and trained at that institution known as the Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. He then went on to complete fellowships in pediatric cardiac surgery at the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne, Australia. He did cardiac transplant research at the Johns Hopkins Hospital, and then cardiovascular surgery at the Texas Heart Institute in Houston. Since he established the Congenital Heart Surgery Unit at Texas Children's in 1995, he and his team have corrected more than 10,000 congenital abnormalities in children and adults. Dr. Frazier is widely known and respected and regarded as an outstanding teacher, leader, and role model, as well as being an extraordinary surgeon. So please join me in welcoming him to the podium. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Let me get this out of the way. Thank you. Well, thank you all very much, President Callender, Mrs. Callender, Provost Jacobs, many of my professors and mentors, Dr. Townsend, Dr. Rubin, Dr. Stout. It's such an honor to be here, and so palpable is the affection for UTMB and this inspiring program today. To sit here and listen to these wonderful testimonies about families and colleagues and friends who support you students, our students, us, in so many meaningful ways. It's quite inspiring. You know, living up in Houston and coming across the causeway, you sort of feel like things are right. Come across and blood pressure goes down a little bit, and you see this wonderful medical center looming on the horizon. It is very much like coming home. Jenny from the development office was kind enough to invite me to come and speak, and our team was trying to figure out what I was supposed to say, and the request was tell a little bit about why you would, you and your family would donate to UTMB, but be brief. So I'll be brief. And I will also ask if you would please, those of you all who know my wife Helen, please don't tell her that I ate the carrot cake. So why UTMB? Why UTMB? Admittedly, I'm not entirely objective, but UTMB is part of the core fabric of American medicine. I don't know if many of you all realize, but there haven't been many schools that have been highlighted on the cover of the Journal of American Medical Association, but UTMB is one of them, and a most deserved distinction. Much like my beloved university in Austin, Texas, these are iconic places that we Texans and our country and world should be very, very proud of. And I think back on the opportunity that I had as a student to come here, and frankly, medical education was frighteningly inexpensive. And why was that? Because we had such a generous society, generous community, and I think about the opportunities that I had. My family was in a position to be able to help me, but I didn't leave here struggling like many of my colleagues around the country. I was propelled out of here by some great mentors. Dr. Tom Loeb, who was a pediatric surgeon here at UTMB, really strongly suggested that if I was interested in a career in children's surgery, that Johns Hopkins would be a good place for me to be. And I remember going to Hopkins and arriving there and thinking, well, maybe I'm not really good enough to be here. It's a very widely respected and known institution. And then I started observing some things. I actually knew how to do things better than the students that had trained there. I had done more. I had put chest tubes in patients. I had placed arterial lines. I'd had my own patients that I'd taken care of. And I actually was teaching the residents that I was working with how to do things that I took as commonplace. Thank you, UTMB, for that gift that really set the stage for my career and success at Hopkins. So what about our scholarship that our family really was pleased to be able to provide? And Scott's comments were so inspiring, and it is an interesting and wonderful coincidence that I know his family and his cousin. Well, frankly, the students inspire, and they inspire me. They continue to inspire me as a faculty member at Baylor College of Medicine. All these testimonies and many, many more that could extend across the university really keep us energized. And I am not that far from being one of you, and I remember it very, very well. So I applaud your commitment, your passion, and your accomplishments. You're enormously accomplished people, and you are our futures, and we're counting on you. We're counting on you to carry forward that legacy that UTMB expects of you, that UTMB has prepared you for, and that is to change medicine, change society going forward in so many ways. I was pondering something that perhaps many of you, I'm confident that President Callender, Provost Jacobs, and others are hearing a lot about what's going on in medicine now, what's going on with the Affordable Care Act, and is medicine in trouble? And I'll bet their answer is the same as mine. To the contrary. Medicine is in great hands. It's always been challenging to be a physician, of course, we all know that, but it's always been a great time to be a physician. And so seeing all these wonderful students and being able to help them just a little bit is a solemn privilege for us, for our family, and I surely know that we're in good hands, that our school is in good hands, that American medicine is in good hands, and so if we can help just a little bit, then hopefully we've done a good thing. So thank you for having me, and again, congratulations on this wonderful ceremony. Thank you for all the donors and all they've done, and congratulations to the recipients. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Frazier. We really appreciate those wonderful remarks, and thank you for taking your very valuable time to be here today. You remain as an inspiration to all of us, representing what UTMB really wants to do, turn out leaders who make a difference. You certainly have, and again, thank you for that leadership. Thank you for giving back to UTMB and our profession. We greatly appreciate all that you've done. Thank you very much. I want to thank all of you for being here today. To all of our students, thank you for what you do. As Dr. Frazier said, you represent the future. And you are an incredible group, so full of skills and talent and energy. we can't wait for you to be on the front lines and make that difference, just as Dr. Frazier has made. To our scholarship recipients, congratulations. You earned it. You worked hard to get there, and we appreciate you taking the time to be here with us to celebrate the benefactors who are also here with us today. Thank you all for your ongoing support of UTMB, of our students, and our mission. We appreciate so much what you've done for us. Thank you for allowing us to continue the great legacy of learning that has occurred at UTMB. So you all have a great afternoon and a great weekend. Thank you very much.